So now let's add the label on the front. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to be adding a mesh, which is going to be a plane. So I'm just going to go to the side view and I'm going to rotate, and I'm going to rotate exactly, I don't know, something like that. So I'm just going to move it here and I'm going to align it with this. So I'm pressing R to rotate, by the way, if you're not aware of that. Something like that should be good. Now I'm just gonna eyeball this because being 100% accurate is not really important in this case. Yeah, that should be probably good. So one thing which I'm going to tell you is that you can while you're rotating it, you can press shift on your keyboard to make like really minor, really small like adjustments. That's what's going to help you get the perfect angle. So I think it's pretty much perfect. Yeah, so I'm just gonna go and here, and what we're gonna be doing is that we're gonna go to the front view and we're gonna be scaling it down, something like that. Let's move it up. Let's just position it properly and scale it up like that, something like that. I think that should be good. We can obviously make adjustments later on, but for now I think that should be good. Now we're going to be selecting this and we're going to be going to the modifier menu, and we can just add a solidify modifier, which is going to give it some thickness because our label must have a little bit of thickness, right? So yeah, the offset I'm going to make it 1 so that it's actually coming out. If it was -1, then you can see it's going actually inside the bottle, which we don't want. So I'm just going to set it to 1, and the thickness is going to be fine, I think. Yeah, it's cool. So one thing which I'm going to do is that I'm going to be selecting this, and I'm going to go to edit mode by either pressing this or by pressing tab. I prefer tab, and I think you should get into a habit of pressing tab as well. So I'm just going to select everything. So I'm going to press Control B, and you're going to see that nothing is actually happening. So why is that? Why can't we bevel this? I mean, we have been beveling everything till now, so why not? The reason for that is because when you're beveling individual points, you Control B does not actually work. You have to press Control Shift B. So now you're going to see that we can bevel everything. But now again, you're going to notice the same exact problem, which is that this area, this part is beveling more as compared to this part. So I'm just going to undo that, and I'm going to go back to the object mode, and I'm going to press Control A and all transformations. I'm just going to apply everything, and I'm going to see if I go back to edit mode, and if I select everything, now if I Control Shift B, bevel it, you're going to see that it's going to be very uniform and smooth. So I'm just going to give it a slight bit of bevel because we're going for that premium vibe. So we're not going to give it that much of a bevel. I think that should be good. Perfect. So now, next up, I think it's a little too thick, isn't it? I'm just going to move it slightly back. Something like that should be good. Now we're going to be adding the text. And for the text, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a text. So now you're going to see that it's going to appear really weird. And I'm just going to rotate it exactly the same as this one. So I'm just going to tweak it later on, but right now, let me just, first of all, let me just go to edit mode and let me just write the text. I'm just going to write my own name because why not? Nafi Sheikh. Perfect. You can write your own name or anything like that. I've seen people write some weird stuff. Anyways, yeah, so you're going to see that this font is trash, and the way fonts work in Blender is slightly weird. And I'm just going to explain it to you, and it's going to be very easy for us. So this plane, I'm going to name it label. Label. Perfect. And this text is going to be, I don't know, perfume name. Perfume name. Perfect. And so this font, what we're going to be doing to the font is that we're going to be selecting this, a perfume name, and we can go down to this object data properties. You can see this A right here, so we're gonna press that, and here what we're going to be doing is that we are going to be going inside this font, and what you actually have to do for this is you actually have to download fonts. Okay, so I'm just going to go to Google, and I'm just going to search the font. This is the website which I use for downloading fonts. I mean, they just give you free fonts, so yeah. Anyways, so you can just choose any font you want, but I think I downloaded one already. Yeah, so it's this font, Quakies, I think that's what it's called, Quakies Z, sorry, not S. So you can just install it, or actually installing it is not going to help that much, because we actually have to drop this open type font file. You can see I have this right here, this font file right here. We're going to have to drop this inside Blender. So I'm just going to go here, and in this font regular, we can just press this browse button right here and just browse wherever you have that font installed. I'm going to select this Quakeys display whatever, and I'm going to see that this font has been applied to our text, which looks pretty good, doesn't it? So I'm just going to move it forward. Now let's fix the rotation. Something like that should be good. However, I mean, being super precise is not that important. Nobody's going to pay that close attention to your work. I mean, obviously, if you're working for a professional client, or if you're doing any commissioned work, then obviously you should pay attention to these minor details. But if you're just doing it for practice, or just to post on Instagram or something, I don't think anyone's going to notice that much. Anyway, so with this text selector, I'm just going to go to the modifier menu, and we're going to be adding a solidify modifier to actually give it some thickness. So you're going to see that our offset, I'm going to set it to 1 again, so that it's actually coming out and not going inside. Thickness, I'm going to set it to 0.02 meters, and I'm going to push it in slightly. Something like that should be good. We can obviously tweak this later on if you want. And yeah, so let me just bring it down slightly. Well, not down. The thing is, right now, if I bring it down, you're going to see that it's going to actually come to the front, and it's not going to be flushed inside that label. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to go here, and I'm going to set the transform orientation instead of global to local. Now it's going to set it to its own local axes, which I can use to like move it down whenever we want, and it's going to stay in the same plane. I hope that makes sense. And something like that should be good. I don't think it's centered properly. I think something like that should be good. So I'm just eyeballing things because I don't think that much it really matters that much. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to be duplicating this, Shift D, and just move it down. And this, I'm going to name it I don't know, text, random text below the name. I'm just giving a random names anyways. So I'm just going to change this to, actually I was doing some research, and I found that perfume, some perfumes have this yeah, eau de parfum. I am pretty sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, but I don't know, it just sounds cool, and a lot of perfumes have that, eau de parfum. Yeah, this one has it too. I have no idea what it means. Actually, let's just Google it. Yeah, so it has something to do with oil concentration, I guess. I have no idea what this is. Anyways, I'm just going to go back to my 3D render, and I'm just going to copy this, and I'm going to be pasting it. Actually, I'm going to paste this. I'm going to go to edit mode, tab into edit mode, select all, delete it, and Control V. So one thing which I am noticing is that it's lowercase, and instead of that I want it to be uppercase. Okay, select it, tab. I hope I don't misspell it. Eau de parfume. Did it have E? Nope, it did not have an E at the end, so that's cool. Anyway, so I'm just gonna go here, and I'm obviously gonna change the font. So this font I'm gonna set it to Poppins, because the Poppins font, it's poppin'. Anyways, so I'm just gonna go to the font browser. I'm just gonna set it to Poppins regular. I think that should be good. So I'm just checking in my reference if it's if I had set it to regular or bold. I think it was bold, so I'm just gonna set it to bold. Actually, you know what? Never mind. I'm just gonna set it to regular. Yeah. So I'm gonna increase the spacing, character spacing. I'm gonna increase it, something like that. Something like that should be good. And now I'm going to scale it down until it fits. Something like that. I'm gonna reduce the character spacing to like 1.5, I guess. Oops, 1.5. That should be good. And something like that should be a good position for this. Yep, cool. Let me make sure that it's actually aligned and everything. Random text below the name. I'm just going to move it forward slightly so that it's extruding more. Perfect. So apart from that, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to be duplicating this once again. Shift D. I'm going to move it up. I'm just going to name it number. Why am I shouting? Number. And I'm going to move it here. Tab into edit mode. And I'm just going to name it. I'm just going to give it 001. Because I don't know. I mean, there's literally no reason for doing this, but I'm just going to do it because it looks cool. Anyways, moving on. I'm just going to just give me a second. I'm just going to reduce the character spacing to 1. Actually, let's do 1.1 because why not? Something like that should be good. I'm just going to make it aligned with this. Okay, so that's going to look pretty good. However, I'm going to make sure that it's extruding out and not flushed inside because we want the world to see our number. We don't want it to be hidden in the darkness. Okay, cool. So one thing which I'm noticing comparing it to my reference is that everything is way too small. I'm just going to select all this and I'm going to go to the front view. I'm going to scale it up. So one thing which you're going to be noticing is that we're scaling up from this weird axis. So then we're going to have to like center everything again, which I don't want to do. So I'm just going to go to object, set origin to geometry, and you're going to see that it's going to be set to the center automatically. So yeah, that's a pro tip for you right there. Something like that should be good. But now you're going to see that it's going to extrude it. It's going to scale up in that direction too. So I'm just going to push it back. Know your place, guys. Know your place. I'm just going to set it to Y. Something like that should be good. And for some reason they just vanished. Actually, never mind. I'm just going to set it. I think that is fine. One thing which I can do is I can just move this bottle a little forward. Holding shift, just move it slightly forward. Perfect. So I think we are basically done with the model. So next up, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to be creating the base. Yeah, okay, so I'm just going to add a mesh cylinder. Perfect. So I'm just going to push this down. One thing which I'm going to be doing is that I'm just going to be scaling it up. And I think it should be something like that. And I'm going to move it down. So now you're going to see that if I actually want to scale it up again, you're going to see that we're going to scale it up and we're going to have to move it down every single time. So to actually save us from that, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to be pressing this button right here to set the cursor, and I'm going to go somewhere here and I'm going to set the cursor right here. Okay. Now if I go back to my move tool, you're going to see that if I move it like just where it needs to be, so I'm just going to press G and Z. I'm just going to move it to exactly here, and let's actually bring our cursor down to here as well. So now you're going to see the thing. What I'm trying to do is I'm going to select this cylinder and I'm going to go to object, set origin to 3D cursor. Now you're going to see that this the origin of this object is going to be there. Okay, so now if I scale it up, you're going to see that it's going to scale it up, but it's not going to affect the position. Okay, so we're going to scale it up anytime we want, and it's not actually going to we're not going to have to move it up and down again and again. Okay, so I'm just going to right click, shade smooth. I'm just going to select this option right here, and we are going to be selecting normals, auto smooth. Alrighty, so once that is done, we are set with our model. I'm just going to add a bevel deform, bevel modifier to this as well. Something like that should be good. I'm just going to increase the segments to say 20 for this because this is much larger and it's already shaded smooth. So that should be perfect.